Hello everyone and welcome to your Wednesday lighting critique. Yes, it is Wednesday. I saw some questions about that in the Discord channel. I made the mistake yesterday of labeling everything as being Monday, but yes, it is Wednesday. Okay, so we got things to go through. We've got image from Kat, we've got a bunch of stills, and we've got a video from Aaron. So I want to start off with Kat's. So this was everything just went a little nutty there for a second. So this is a shot she's been working on with Prisha. And so I asked her to break out the elements into individual components. And so I can kind of reassemble them here and kind of get a better understanding of the best way for us to move forward. So so this was the image that we had that she was, just like the raw renders that she was working with. So she broke those out into individual passes and sent those over to me with labels saying what each light and what each section was doing. I started to assemble them, and I want to talk to you about a few things to kind of give you a better understanding of how I think we should move forward. So, okay. So the first thing is that, there are some really good passes in there, like this tree spotlight pass looks really good. Lots of shaping, specular highlights on the leaves, good color. Really what we're looking for overall. I do have some questions because there's some warm light backlight here and cool light in here. It looks like there's multiple lights in this setup, so that have different goals. But overall, this is feeling about where we want. This ambient light is totally fine. It's a nice like kind of a skylight. For the character, we've got this key light coming in. It's looking good. It's got some good directionality. But something that I started to notice with this, and it's going to come up in others, is there's like a haze within your light passes. And I want to make sure, because again, we're seeing it definitely down here. Like, you see how much haze there is? This is really, really, really going to cause a problem. Because what we're seeing is that nothing, when you start adding all this together, because lighting is an additive process, you're not allowing the capability of things to go dark. Because you kind of have this haze being built up throughout the entire shot, and then that's leading to a lot of the like lifted values but still darks underneath it, if that makes sense. So the other thing that I was noticing too was that there are, there's like a key light, and that makes sense. That's coming in from the sun. You also have some in here as well that are like front fill lights to soften shadow. That's fine, but like a light like this. When we're thinking about it in nature, like, I don't really know, is this like a little spotlight that's like from a movie set that's going to be in there? Because we want to create natural effects. And like, this has like really hard shadows in here. Like, I can see cast shadows the way that you would almost see from a key light. And stuff like this that's kind of flattening some things out. And again, lots of haze, and they just don't really feel like natural light's coming from the corners, and I'm not quite sure what that is, because again, we're looking for like a little bit of what we're trying to eliminate is over complexity, and seeing stuff like this makes me think that we might be hitting a level of over complexity. But so that's the first thing. Second thing is I want to talk to you about how I kind of built this in a way that I think would be a good progress going forward. So first step, took the ambient and the key light from this background, added them together. I toned down the ambient light a little bit just to kind of allow the key light to be a little bit stronger. From there, I brought in the key light from the character, and I went ahead and I pushed that a little bit brighter. From there, I brought in a little bit of this fill light, but I did not like that haze that was coming on with it. So I just darkened that down a little bit and just brought it in slightly to create some more fill values in there. But again, we definitely don't want any point lights on screen, because again, this is all natural lighting, no incandescent lights in here. For this light, there's just too many problems with this amount of haze on it, especially because it looks like the light source is over here, but then haze is coming in from over here. So I went ahead and just disabled that, because I think that's actually going to cause a few more problems than it's going to help. And then for this light, I just wanted to bring it in. So basically, let me show you this. So what I was seeing was that it was bringing in some red light, and I thought it would be better to infuse the scene with a little more of the natural greens. So I did that there. From there, I went ahead and upped the exposure overall because it's just like at this point, it just doesn't feel very sunny. And so I wanted to push that a little bit brighter. And then for this pass, so this is a extreme amount of fog. And it's also very desaturated. So I wanted to push that back, go from here to here. And I added in a little bit of a warmth color. Now this is more of a personal preference on this. So if we want it to be, kind of a warm color that infuses, we could theoretically do like a kind of a cooler color back there that was more of like a traditional atmospherics. But I thought, given this space, given the amount of how do I say this? Like just kind of like it's more fog that will be infused with the surrounding colors than it is aerial fall off, which is a little bit different. So it's not that deep of a space to where we would see that. So this is more simulating like a warm kind of hazy fog. From there, I added a little bit of diffusion into the scene. Just a little more brightness around the core. And then the main thing I did was one of the main things was I really just kind of wanted to focus the light in this region. So I vignetted off these two sides. And now we can see like this is from yesterday, this is from today. So it's a little bit cleaner, a little bit tighter, and a little bit more directional in where the light is coming. So the other big things that I would do from here is, well, one, again, there's some ambient light in the background, but overall, I'm not really feeling a sense of a skylight in there, right? Of a bright blue sky surrounding this whole scene. Because yes, there are a lot of trees in here, but I'm not getting the sense that there is a super robust canopy that would completely block out the skylight. So I would like to see a sky dome added to this if possible. The other thing is now that we've got light coming in here and hitting this pretty strongly, like it's odd that we're not seeing the bounce light up in here on this side of the rock and like up underneath our arm. So since we're not getting that from the natural radiosity in the scene, it would be great to add in a little bit of a bounce card, like an area light that's facing upward to just kind of fill in some of those darker values. And that would be my main thing. And then really kind of just like always do an audit on your lights and make sure that everyone makes sense for the scene and isn't adding a lot of this haze, because that's just gonna force you to just fight an uphill battle this whole time. I have to do this too. So that's where I would go with that. Again, light kind of shooting in from this one side, more bounce light, and then just trying to get a good balance there. So now I want to hop over into, we'll do the stills next, and then we'll hop over because the video is actually associated with Aaron's shot here. So I think this shot's looking great. I'll leave this one as is for now because I think this one could use some work. Couple things about this one is that we're missing kind of that core dark value of the skin. Like, do you see how there's like, we're really feeling the green, and then the saturation or the specularity that's coming in is kind of complementary to that. In this shot, it's kind of overtaking him as a whole. So that would be one. Number two is the rice here feels a little bit dingy, like the shadows are a little dark, and I want them to feel a little bit warmer. So I would add some subsurface scattering to the rice to really kind of create the feeling of a little bit more of an inner glow there. And some of these cucumbers are feeling a little bit off color. They're a little bit more blue, so I would try and pull the greens a little more out of these. But you're doing a great job with this light back here. I think that's really, really cool. And I would tone these guys down back here. They're not really that important to the scene to just allow us to focus in here. So let's work with that, and then we'll go from there. Looking at your video setup, I think this is a lovely camera move. I think this is nice and simple. Two things about it is looking at the framing. They're nice and framed and central right here at the beginning, right? Like there's equal distance on each side. As we get to the end, that starts to get skewed a little bit. Like there's more over here than there is over here. So I would just, at the last frame, I would just shift them over slightly into the frame. And then the other thing about it is, actually, you know what, this one might be okay. But I was thinking that I would like having it kind of drift into position at the end, it's fine. I was going to say just like have the animation move linearly and not kind of do the ramp in and ramp out. But I think for this, it might be okay. So really just make sure they're framed nice and center throughout the entire shot. Adrian, so for your 2 examples here, I like this one a little bit better. I think the skin's looking really good. I don't think it's looking too reflective at all. You asked a great question about when is it time to break from reference. And I think, yeah, it's in this point that you break from reference. So reference really is about establishing your footing, helping you get an understanding and a game plan for what you want to do. But ultimately, you're an artist making a thing at the end of the day. And so you should create it as you see fit. The final thing that I would like for you to work on is, can you get any like subsurface scattering or like a little bit of that under the hair to make some light kind of shine through the hair? Because I see it kind of hitting it and dying in a couple of these places. And the other thing is I would like to take you another pass at the eyes. I feel like they can go a little bit, the whites can go a little brighter. I feel like the reflections, like on this side, it's a little bit pinpointed and strong. It's okay on this side. But this one, make it like more of a softer ding on the opposite side because it's more of like on the fill side. And just kind of like brighten and create a little bit more engagement on the eyes in there. And then lastly, watch out for this getting, her hair back here getting a little bit too filled in. Try and darken it as we go down there. But I like this one. I like the A version a lot. Gliset, much better. I like the adjustments that you made to this. I like the shadow. I like the caustics back here. The reflection in there is looking a lot better. Yeah, it's crazy how the IOR works. And even when you like tell it to do it a certain way in some like default setting, it's not always the right result. So you did a really good change there. The only other thing that I would look into at this point, I do like, so the red bounce in here is a little bit stronger than it is in reality. I actually kind of like it. I think you should keep it. I think that looks a lot better. So I would keep that. The only thing that I would do, I'm looking at this specular highlight and the tomato a little bit. I would rough up that surface just a slight bit more, right? It's like a little too perfectly sheeny right around there. If you could just like add a little bit more of like a noise or a bump or something in there, I think that would help out a lot. But really, really, really great stuff. This is super subtle. I also love that there's like an indication of something back there. It just kind of expands the room for me, which is really, really nice. All right, Dani. So for this one, I think we've gotten too contrasty. I think these darks have gotten too crunchy. So I would pull back on that. And that would be my big note on this one. Is it feels like an Instagram filter or something where the contrast has just been turned way up. So back off of that a little bit and create some more variation in some of these darks. That was weird. Just do crap like that. Let's see. I rotated this somehow, and I'm not sure how I did that. Sorry about that. But basically, it's just about dealing with the contrast. I like the levels outside these windows. It's allowing us to focus more in here. But just if you're doing any contrast, pull back on that, and we'll take a look at that again tomorrow. For this one, challenge accepted. Great additions on this. Now, the big thing that I would like for you to do at this point, and it's finally, this feels very, very pristine. Like everything feels perfect in this. Like no child has ever played on it. If you want, I think it would be really beneficial to take a pass at dinging up some of this stuff, right? Like making it feel like children have run around this and creating like a little bit of a worn path in there. Again, with the brick, like find some water stains in there, and in here maybe find some, there's always like little rusty bolts in there and stuff like that. Just an added level of stuff in the shader I think could help. And then I still want to see this hole plugged because I'm realizing that we're kind of seeing the edge of the world back there. So just make sure that gets plugged in a little bit. And I think that would be a good next step. Diana, this one looks great. I really wouldn't do anything else to this. I think you're spot on that this is looking great. The only thing that I would want is just to see the stars a little bit more, but that's totally a non-issue because it's really, really beautiful stuff. So really great job with this one. All right, Kat, we talked about this a little bit. The one thing I wanted to note was the level of subsurface. This does feel a little strong because now she's starting to feel a little bit like a gummy bear. So I would pull back on that a little bit. But yeah, and I think it'll be more once we get that light balanced out. I think get some more bounce light in there. That'll really be beneficial. Kyle, great submission. I love this shot in Coco. You had a really nice breakdown in the Discord server. The one thing I would add is this idea of a sepia tone photograph is kind of nostalgic in our minds. Like this idea of, this took place a long time ago. And we've triggered this, brown, warm sepia tone thing, not only from an emotional standpoint of being a warm familial thing, but also something that's taken place a long time ago. So it's really interesting that the color scheme also set the time in this, which you don't usually see. And I think that was really interesting. But great breakdown. Excited to have you here. And this is really, thank you so much for sharing this. This is just reminds me how beautiful this movie is. Last up in our alphabetical list, we have Rebecca and one of my favorite films of the last few years, Jojo Rabbit. This is an interesting lighting scenario because this is a real challenge to get this cooler scenes in here. And I think you're doing a good job with the skin tones. The one thing is the value on this side is a little bit lighter than this side. And I would try and match this up because this feels a little bit softer in the key to fill ratio. There's like a little bit more warmth and softness to him. Where this, because of this level of darkness, it starts to feel a little gritty. And then I would, looking at the tone, do you see that how he still has a little bit of warmth in there because his cheeks are super rosy? I wouldn't totally strip this out of any warmth in this light. If you're hitting it with cool light, I would neutralize that a little bit, desaturate it a little bit to make it more white, just to get start to feel a touch of those warm tones in the skin. And then on this side, just a little bit less than the speck because it's all bounce light in here, right? So it's super kind of soft diffuse, but not too much because a little speck is good. But this is a good start. So good job with this one. All right, that's it for today, everyone. Thank you for posting. Thank you for sharing. And I look forward to seeing what you guys have tomorrow. All right, happy lighting, everybody.